Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood updates here, so remember to subscribe for the latest videos. Once the sweet and innocent star of Seventh Heaven, Mackenzie Rosman has now found herself at the center of a storm of attention, conversation, and shock after an unintentional wardrobe moment sent the internet into overdrive. Known to millions as the lovable Ruthie Camden, Mackenzie's transformation from child star to confident adult has been unfolding quietly over the years. But everything changed the moment she stepped out at a recent high-profile industry event wearing an outfit that, while daring and fashion-forward, revealed far more than she expected. Flashbulbs erupted, media outlets scrambled to capture the photos, and within minutes, Mackenzie Rosman shows off more than she wanted to, became the headline scene around the world. But behind the viral image lies a much deeper, more emotional story. A young woman navigating the delicate terrain of growing up in the unforgiving glare of Hollywood. Her outfit, an intricately designed sheer gown paired with bold accessories, was meant to make a statement of elegance, rebellion, and personal empowerment. And it did, but not in the way she had hoped. A misstep in the way the fabric shifted under lights exposed more skin than intended, sparking a firestorm of media coverage, fan reaction, and celebrity commentary. While many rushed to sensationalize the moment, others saw it for what it truly was, a deeply human, slightly embarrassing, but also empowering turning point in the life of a former child star trying to embrace her womanhood on her own terms. This wasn't just about an outfit malfunction. It was about reclaiming narrative in a world that rarely gives women the benefit of the doubt. Mackenzie's response to the incident was nothing short of graceful. Instead of retreating from the public eye, she addressed it with maturity, humor, and strength, issuing a statement that struck a chord with fans. Sometimes life exposes more than you expect. But that's just part of growing, owning it, and moving forward. Those words immediately turned her into an empowering voice for young women navigating their own transformations, turning an awkward moment into a lesson in confidence and self-respect. Social media exploded with support as hashtags like #WeStandWithMackenzie and #RealBeauty trended globally, and fan pages poured in with messages of solidarity, understanding, and celebration of her natural beauty. Behind the scenes, stylists, designers, and public figures defended her, arguing that the media's obsession with accidental exposure undermines a woman's right to fashion freedom. At just 34, Mackenzie Rosman has now become an unexpected symbol of how to rise with grace from moments of vulnerability. Her years away from the mainstream spotlight have allowed her to grow into a woman of depth, strength, and artistic vision, and this moment, though unintended, has reintroduced her to the world in a way no comeback plan ever could. What followed was an outpouring of interest from major brands, interviews with top magazines, and discussions about how society still clings to outdated standards when it comes to women's appearances. But Mackenzie isn't just riding the wave, she's using it to make meaningful change. Industry insiders reveal she's developing a docu-series focusing on life after child stardom, body image, and the emotional weight of fame, a project inspired directly by the public's overwhelming reaction to her unintentional reveal. What could have been a fleeting viral moment is fast becoming a cultural reset. Fans are once again watching Mackenzie Rosman, not as Ruthie Camden, but as a woman reshaping her own legacy, determined to tell her story with raw honesty and bold femininity. She has shown more than she wanted to, but in doing so, she's revealed a strength the world won't forget. Because while Mackenzie Rosman may have accidentally revealed more than she planned, what she truly exposed was something far more powerful: vulnerability, authenticity, and an unwavering resilience that has catapulted her back into the public conversation with newfound respect and admiration. As the media frenzy continued to swell following the sheer gown incident, Mackenzie's name began trending not just for the viral mishap, but for the grace, poise, and strength with which she handled it. For a star who grew up under the microscope of primetime family television, it's no small feat to confront the world's gaze again, this time not as a child playing a role, but as a fully grown woman navigating identity, pressure, and the rawness of living in a hypercritical era. What the world saw as a wardrobe malfunction, Mackenzie turned into a manifesto, an unintentional, unfiltered moment that reminded us that humanity still exists behind the sparkle of red carpets and the polish of media training. In interviews that followed the event, Mackenzie didn't shy away from addressing the incident. Instead, she leaned into it with honesty. She admitted her initial shock, the embarrassment that flushed her face as flashbulbs popped, and the vulnerability that followed as the images were dissected across the internet. But she also expressed gratitude for the outpouring of support and for the opportunity to challenge double standards that still plague women in entertainment. And in doing so, she joined a growing movement of women demanding the right to own their image, even when that image is caught off guard. Industry veterans took notice. Prominent directors, fashion designers, and editorial photographers began reaching out, eager to work with Mackenzie not because of scandal, but because of authenticity. Offers began pouring in for projects that emphasized strength, transformation, and beauty beyond the surface. Her unintentional moment had become the very catalyst for a career rebirth that even she couldn't have scripted. And her fans, those who had grown up watching her, who saw her grow up on screen and then fade away into privacy, now found themselves drawn back into her orbit. They posted side-by-side comparisons of Ruthie Camden and the woman in the sheer gown, captioning them with words like evolution, growth, and freedom. They wrote blogs, recorded reaction videos, and shared their own stories of public embarrassment, shame, and resilience. Suddenly, Mackenzie's moment wasn't just hers. It belonged to millions who'd ever felt exposed, misunderstood, or defined by a single uncomfortable incident. Now, as she steps forward into this new chapter, Mackenzie Rosman is doing so with power, with purpose, and with a poise that was hard-won. Her team has confirmed a slate of upcoming projects, including a memoir tentatively titled Uncovered, where she'll reflect not just on her childhood fame and sudden re-entry into the public eye, but on how one moment of unintended exposure taught her more about strength, fame, and femininity than decades of scripted lines ever could. Fashion campaigns are already in development, many inspired by the very gown that sparked the media storm, this time reimagined with full intention and artistry. And perhaps most inspiring of all is her decision to launch a foundation aimed at supporting former child actors dealing with mental health challenges, body image pressures, and the struggle to reclaim identity in adulthood. She's turning her experience into a platform, not just to speak, but to uplift others. Critics who once reduced her to that girl from seventh heaven are now acknowledging her as a force of influence and inspiration. She's being reintroduced not just as an actress, but as a woman with something meaningful to say. Her story has moved from tabloid fodder to cultural commentary, and she's commanding every step of it. "I showed more than I wanted to," she recently said in a podcast interview, but maybe that's exactly what the world needed to see. That candid remark has since been quoted in dozens of articles, etched onto fan art, and even printed on merchandise by supporters who have embraced her vulnerability as a symbol of fearlessness. Mackenzie's story is no longer about a flash of skin. It's about the heart, the courage, and the evolution behind that flash. As she stands taller and more radiant than ever before, the world watches not out of curiosity, but out of admiration. She has turned what could have been a moment of fleeting shame into a legacy of strength. The girl we once knew has become the woman we now respect. Mackenzie Rosman didn't just show more than she wanted to. She showed us all how powerful it is when a woman takes control of her story, even when the world tries to write it for her. And as her star rises again, one thing is certain. This is only the beginning of her most transformative and unforgettable chapter yet. Subscribe to Daily Gossip for more emotional celebrity reinventions, bold Hollywood transformations, dramatic pop culture revelations, and empowering journeys that prove the stars we grew up with are still shining brighter than ever.